Many of us have probably heard the phrase, fortune favors the bold. It's often used in context of, you want to taking that bold action or that bold buying that stock. I had a social studies teacher in 8th grade who bought Nike, Apple, and like Hilfiger or Polo in 84. He didn't need to be a social studies teacher in 2000. He had more money than he knew what to do with. And he took bold, Nike seems like a great thing. These computers are going to be important, and he went for it. Well, fortune favors the bold. Well, our gift this week that we've been doing the sermon series is bold action. The gift of bold action. Look at our story. Look at our text today. The incredible boldness that Simon and Andrew and the sons of thunder take. Jesus simply walks by. It's like Bethany said to the kids, some stranger walking by. Callie's sitting there in the office at the hospital, says, "Hey, Callie, come on, let's go." She's like, "All right, I'm leaving this job. I'm going to go hang out with that guy." That seems ludicrous now, doesn't it? Every one of us just went, "I'm not doing that." Grayson's sitting in the bank. Guys walking through past his office. "Grayson, let's go." Grayson gets up and says, "No, I'm going with that guy." It sounds crazy to us. It's bold. It's wild. And then the better part about it is that in our story, Simon and Andrew immediately follow. James and John immediately follow. We find immediately all over the Gospel of Mark, but not much in Matthew. Immediately. There's not a moment of hesitance. They get up. "Oh, we're fish for people? Okay, let's go." "Sorry, Dad, you're in the boat by yourself. We're gone." This bold discipleship, this bold action to follow, to charge forward in our work and what we do in terms of the gospel. It's a gift. It's a gift not only to us, but it's a gift to the world. When we choose to be bold with our discipleship, to be bold with our belief, with our faith, with our action, it impacts wide. It's like the ripple effect. When you throw a little stone in the middle of the lake, and it's a tiny, but then by the time it gets to the shores, it's a big, wide ripple that reaches all the sides. Followed him immediately. I cannot fathom it. They had to have heard something. We're 4 chapters in. Okay, they've got to have heard a story. They've got to have heard something about this guy, and he happens to wander by, and they're like, "Oh, I'm definitely in on that." But here's the thing. Just with the text that we have, just with what we have today, they don't know where they're going. They have no idea what they're going to be doing. They know that they're going to fish for people. They have no idea what they're going to see. We get verse 23, and Jesus is healing all manners of diseases and preaching in all synagogues. It was a big deal to be chosen by a rabbi back then, to sit at their feet, to learn, to grow. It had to have been an incredible honor to be chosen. That bold action that they took as disciples, to boldly charge forward into the mystery of discipleship. I know in my life, as I move forward, I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, but we do. We're called to move forward. And it's hard for me to think about bold action and about bold work and not think about Monday. Monday was MLK. Monday was Martin Luther King. And let me just say this. One does not get a day named, a federal holiday off, named after them if they sat at home. History does not remember those who sit at home. Remember the bold actions. The life-changing, world-changing actions. Bold action that coursed through the civil rights movement. The 60s, that drove people to stand up and say no more at lunch counters throughout the South. To a small African American woman risking her life and saying, I'm not sitting in the back of the bus. She risked the tree. See, we don't realize that. We think, oh, she got in trouble because she broke the rules. Rosa Parks risked her life, her very existence, to move from the back to the front and say, I will not be treated like a second-class person. I will not be treated as less than human anymore. At those times, in those places, the Klan lynched her. She risked everything. The bold action. And it's led us down a path. Are we done? No. Brothers and sisters, we're not done yet. I know that Jim Crow is over, but the history of it remains. I know that we think that there's no more racism and there's no more hate, but it remains. It's in our systems. It's in our society. There is still bold action to be taken, work to be done, faithful, discipleship-driven work. Jesus didn't heal the disease of that person and then say, you don't look right, I'm going to heal that person. He healed all of them. The lepers. I can't tell you what it was like to be a leper in Israel at that time. You weren't allowed to even come in the city. You had to stay at the city gate. You were unclean. You were never allowed to go to your place of worship. You were unclean. You were unworthy. You were less than. He's over here kissing them. You ever looked up leprosy? It's not a pretty disease. He's over here kissing them. The life and ministry of Jesus is full of bold action. It calls us to do the same. It calls us to be immediate disciples. James and John and Simon and Andrew, get out of our boats of comfort. We talked about this in Sunday school. We get comfortable. And I like being comfortable. I promise you. Call it soft clothes in the South. Love to go home, put some soft clothes on, put my feet up, not do a whole lot of anything. But see, we're not called soft clothes disciples. We're bold disciples. We're called to get out of the boats of comfort, to go to places that the mystery and the unknown and the terror are real, and to serve and love the people. And does that mean necessarily that some of our young parents, the Stoutners, got to leave those kids behind and head off to Indonesia? No, it does not mean that. But we take bold action in other ways, in our communities. We take extravagant steps sometimes because we trust God. We live on budgets of faith. Our community does this very thing. Because we trust that God provides. We trust that God's with us. And we stand firmly in what we believe. The boldness of love, the boldness of grace. It takes a lot to love someone who has hurt us, who has broken us, who says horrid things about us. It's bold to do so. We are bold with our voices when we speak out against the wrongs, the injustices we see in this world. The way the systems don't do what they're supposed to do. Which does mean getting political, and that's just what I'm going to say about it at some point. Work with the systems. I mean, we can stand outside the system and be like, you guys are terrible. And the system goes, you stay out there then. We take all of who we are, this faith, this work, this boldness, into every part of our lives. Whether we're teachers or mechanics or lawyers or musicians or bankers. The ethic, the boldness of faith comes with us. But that's the getting out of the boat. We can leave our faith at the house when we go to work or when we go to the world and stay comfortably in our boat and not rock anyone else's. We can take those ethics, those boldness of love and care and generosity to the world. We're called to be bold with our hands, our bodies in service, with our bank accounts, our whole lives. To follow God into the unknown, the unexpected. I was talking to some family members when I decided to go to seminary. Now, before I was going to go to seminary, I had my, I thought I was going to be a chiropractor or go get a master's in biomechanics and kinesiology and be one of those rich strength and conditioning coaches like a Doyle or, yeah, I was going to be rich. So I was telling a family member, I said, I got to go to seminary. I called the seminary, and the first thing they said, you're going to be broke. You're an idiot. How we weigh what we do. Is it bold to step out and say, maybe, I'm not going to make Doyle money of $585,000 a year within my contract. Anyone else, someone gets a raise, I get a raise too. But what do? Do I immediately follow? Do I step into that discipleship and trust that God's going to do the work because I'm going to do the work with God? It's a boldness of how we push forward, how we trust, how we work. Now, I'm here talking about boldness, and y'all are thinking, I got a calendar to keep. I got phone calls to return. I got emails to do. When I was preparing for this sermon, I said, about 75% of the pastor's job is not bold. Pretty mundane. Got a state clerk, got to respond to the state clerk of the presbytery, and now I got to answer this email, and I got to answer this phone call, return it. A lot of us have the same things. But see, it's finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's being bold in what we think is mundane. It's finding the way to immediately do the good work in what we see as simple, every average tasks. How do we take our faith into those mundane pieces to make them extraordinary? How do we take our faith into those little parts of life and boldly make them bigger? How do we step up when we're called upon? How do we forgive? How do we love? Those things that seem so simple, so average, so everyday, they're bold. To forgive one another may be one of the boldest actions that we can take. And to forgive ourselves at the same time. But these actions are not in a vacuum. These actions aren't by themselves. These actions come from somewhere. James tells us that. Actions without faith are... Anyone? Gary. Dead. Thank you. They're dead. It's always nice to have another clergy in the background. I don't like to call on you, then they think I'm calling on my wife all the time. Actions without faith are dead. Actions that just don't come from anywhere. Yeah, they're good, they're meaningful, but they're not really powerful. The faith that drives the actions, the immediacy of out of the boat to do those bold things. That's what matters. We were watching The Crown last night. And it was... Everybody, if you have Netflix, go home and just watch episode 8 of season 2 of The Crown. It is... Season 3? Season 3. My bad. I slept through season 2. It is an unbelievable conversation about faith and work. We find, I'm going to tell you about it because I think Prince Philip is enamored with space travel. He's enamored with the race to the moon, and so we're watching him stare at this television, stare at these astronauts, these heroes, Aldrin and Collins. I get all worked up thinking about them. When we went to Houston, it was amazing. He's enamored by him, but at the same time, he's having this deep crisis of faith. He's having this deep midlife crisis. The old rector or dean of the church is, well, he's old. And he's not. He's just, yeah, it's bad. And so he refuses to go to church. He doesn't want to be part of faith anymore. He's lost it. But he's invested in this space race. So the queen, she, of course, pulls some strings and gets a new dean, a new priest, a new pastor of the church. And he's about the same age as Philip, and he comes in one day, and Philip's reading paper after paper after paper about heading to the moon. And he says, Your Highness, I know there's a bunch of old buildings around Windsor that aren't being used. Can I have one of them? What for? You don't like the house we gave you? He says, No. I want to set up a place where priests who feel lost, who feel exhausted, who feel burnt out, who feel broken, can come and get rejuvenated. A place where we can talk and think. And Prince Philip slams down the paper and he says, That's fine. He said, But your theory's wrong. So you can fill the building with hot air, but the only thing that matters is bold action. This matters. So he goes and he sits with them one time, and they're there, and they're talking, and they're like, oh, it's kind of a pity party, I'll admit it. And he says, I don't need to be around a bunch of midlife geriatric pity party. So you guys, you want to change the world? You know why people aren't coming to your church? Because you're not doing anything. He gets up and leaves. And then he meets these 3 young astronauts, these heroes. These men he's put on an idol, put on a pedestal, that come home, and he finds out that what they are is good soldiers, kind of boring, don't have a whole lot of imagination. He has these deep, profound questions. He wants to know, did they see God? Essentially is what he wanted to know. Did they see God when they put their feet on the moon? And all they said is all we could look at was the control panels and the checklists. They just followed the rules. Get to the moon, get home. And he was broken. Because he said, no, these were supposed to be the meaningful piece of my life. And then we see him back at St. George's. And he says, well, we first see him go to his mother, who's passed away in her room. And then a flash to St. George's house, which is where the priests are meeting. And he's talking. And he says, my mother always asked me one question. How's your faith, Philip? He realized that piece that he was missing was that faith. The bold action was all well and good, but without the faith, without that deep, abiding, immediate boldness of faith in Jesus Christ, what was it? It was doing things. Brothers and sisters, we're called to a boldness. First, a boldness of faith. To trust in the mystery of a God that is crucified, dead and raised, and offers grace and salvation, but then to an immediacy of action out of that faith. World, life-changing action. So with boldness, go. With boldness, we ordain new leaders. We install new leaders. We're called to serve. This is an exciting moment in the life of our church, that we get to do this and be part of this. So in a moment, we get to do this bold action of stepping forth. So brothers and sisters, hold fast to the faith. And when God calls, boldly go forth to serve and love.